Okay, so this is going to be the first question and answers video that I do. And from here on out, I'm going to be doing these weekly. And the way they work is that assistant producer patrons through Patreon who support my work monthly, they get to ask questions first. And then I'm going to try to fill the video up with about 10 to 20 minutes of questions and answers. So if I don't get enough from them, I will go to other patrons and then also the comment sections of YouTube, emails, etc. So let's just jump right into it. The first question comes from Kusan, who is an assistant producer patron, and thank you very much for your support. They ask, there are loads of unscrupulous big name newspapers and media companies that continue to publish fabricated and half truths for the highest bidder. Are there reputable, real fact finding media companies still operating today? And I think the best answer to that question is pretty much any big media company comes with it an agenda, whether it's corporate interests, maybe a government behind it, or it could be anything, but there's always an agenda. And so we always have to keep that in mind when we're reading anything or listening or watching anything. That doesn't mean that there isn't some truth in any article or video or radio show. It just means we have to be aware of that agenda and how that agenda might kind of distort those facts that are presented. And that doesn't just go for the Western corporate media, that goes for Western state media and also state media from countries like Russia and China. We always have to be aware of that agenda and how it might distort the facts that are presented. That means, like, for us, we should try to be objective when we're reading these things and try to look at the facts and check them ourselves independently. And that's the only way to be sure what we're reading is true or not true. Kusan also asks, how much influence or control does the US government have over the free and independent media? That's another really great question. I think we're referring to the alternative media. These are small operations or even sometimes a single individual who report the news or do analysis and try to do it independently. And the way the US government tries to control or influence in alternative media is a couple of ways. One, they can just censor you. They can use their connections with Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google. They could just have them pull the plug on your account, and then it's going to be really hard for you to reach out to people. The other thing that they can do is just buy you out. A good example of this is Elliot Higgins of Bellingcat. He started out during the Syrian conflict doing what I thought was independent analysis about war footage, basically. He would examine it, find out all the weapons involved, and he would provide you all kinds of background information about what kind of weapons they were, where they might have come from. But someone came along, made an offer. Some people say he was a creation of state war propaganda from the beginning. I don't know. But the US government eventually scooped him up, made him an offer. He immediately sold out. And ever since, and through Bellingcat, he has been an unapologetic war propagandist ever since. So that's another way the US can deal with or influence the alternative media. And the third way is just creating fake alternative media and just kind of filling up the space with fake alternative media and kind of muddying the waters for legitimate alternative media. And a good example of this is Coda Story, C-O-D-A, Coda Story. They pretend to be alternative media, but of course they're not. If you look under the surface, they're also funded by the US government, and they've got people like Anne Applebaum from the Washington Post involved. So what it actually really is, it's the lies told by the Washington Post that more and more people don't believe anymore, and repackaging it as kind of like something that looks like alternative independent media. So those are three ways the US government goes about trying to influence or control the alternative media. And there's probably many other ways that they do it as well, but those are just the three that come, off the top of my head here. The third and final question kind of connects to all of this. This person wants to remain anonymous, so we'll just say A, letter A. They ask, who funds you? I'm an industrial designer by trade. That's what I do for a living. And for the longest time, that's how I support my work. I mean, really, I use Blogger and now I use YouTube. And to make the videos, I'm using my own phone. So, there really is no need for a budget to actually do that much. Um, it's really just a matter of time, justifying the amount of time that I spend on this. And when there's a political crisis, I really do have to take time away from my work to do this. And what that usually means is taking the time from somewhere else, like sleeping, basically. Now, when I started to write and I started to get a bit of a following, I had other much larger websites in the alternative media approach me and ask me if I wanted to work for them. And I turned those offers down because I really felt that they would be telling me what to write. And I want to write about the things that I think are important to write about. I don't write because I think it's fun. I write because I feel like the country that I live in is under threat and I need to raise the alarm to protect myself, my family and friends, and this country that I call home. But by 2014, I was approached by New Eastern Outlook, and what they said to me was, "Your articles fit well with our journal. If you have your articles published with us first, we will compensate you for it, and then once it's on our journal, you can post it on your blog, and you can share it with the alternative media. Just make sure the link links back to our journal. That's it." And they don't tell me what to write. Sometimes they say, well, that article doesn't really fit. It's about Venezuela. We're New Eastern Outlook. Venezuela's in the Western Hemisphere. So for me, that arrangement works out perfectly. And for people who criticize me for dealing with Russian media, I really don't care because these are people who think the BBC is credible. And if you compare the BBC, which is British state media, and Russian state media, and we look at take the Iraq invasion for example, the BBC aggressively promoted what they knew at the time was an absolute lie about weapons of mass destruction, and Russian state media said there's no evidence that Iraq has those weapons. The U.S. is rushing to war, and it's wrong. And so, as long as Russian media stands up against U.S. aggression, I'm happy to share that common ground with them. And I will never feel bad about that. And I'm quite proud of my contributions to New Eastern Outlook. So there's that. And then finally, I've just started Patreon after hesitating to do it. But I'm glad that I did it because, it's not just getting monthly support from people who appreciate my work. I get to interact with the people supporting me on a daily basis. I get feedback, I get constructive criticism, I get advice about technical things that I can do to improve the quality of my videos now that I'm doing videos. And this isn't just about supporting my work monthly now, it's about building a community around it. So I'm very glad that I did that. And now that I have this independent source of support for my work, I can really justify managing my time from freelance industrial design work and doing this. I can pick and choose which jobs that I take on for industrial design, and I can spend more time doing this now. So I think it was a good move, and we'll just see how it goes from here. And for everyone who supports me on Patreon, thank you very much. For everybody else, check the links in the video description for ways you can help support my work. And think about becoming a Patreon supporter. I would love to have you as part of the community. And to everyone else who has been helping me in every single way, including just liking and sharing these videos, I really appreciate that. And thank you so much. And as always, thank you for watching.